Yes, my dear students, how are you? Are you all safe and fine? Yes, I hope that you are all safe and fine by the grace of Lord Jesus. Okay, we shall move to the lesson. Nowadays, we are discussing about the modern periodic classification. And before going to move to the next topic, I would like to ask some questions to enhance, to check your level of understanding and observation. See, first one, what is modern periodic law? What is modern periodic law? The physical and chemical properties of the elements are the periodic functions of their atomic numbers. Then, what are called periods? The horizontal rows are called periods. And how many periods are there in the modern periodic table? There are 7 periods in the modern periodic table. Then, what are groups? The vertical columns in the periodic table, starting from top to bottom, are called groups. And how many groups are there in the modern periodic table? There are 18 groups in the modern periodic table. And what are called the inner transition elements? The lanthanide and actinides, which form part of group 3, are called inner transition elements. Then, what is meant by periodicity? Anything which repeats itself after a regular interval is called periodic, and this behavior is called periodicity. What is atomic radius? That is the distance between the center of its nucleus and the outermost shell containing the valence electron. Then two types: covalent radius, metallic radius. And metallic radius in the metal, covalent radius in non-metallic elements. What is called ionic radius? It is defined as the distance from the center of the nucleus of the ion up to the point where it exerts its influence on the electron cloud of the ion. Then ionization energy, it is the minimum energy required to remove an electron from gaseous atom in its ground state to form a cation. This is also called ionization enthalpy. Then electron affinity, this is the amount of energy released when gaseous atom gains an electron to form an ion. The next topic, electronegativity. This is nothing but the tendency of an atom to attract shared pair of electron towards itself in a covalent bond. Then next, metallurgy. So now we are going to discuss about metallurgy. Metals play a vital role in our life. So metals play very important role in our life, and our life is always associated with various metals. For example, our body also require certain proportions of metals like sodium, potassium, calcium, iron, etc. And also the deficiency of these metals affects the metabolic activities which cause diseases. So what is called metallurgy? It is a science of extracting metal from ore. That's all. Simply you have to understand. Metallurgy is nothing but it is a science of extracting metal from their ore. And there are different methods are used, physical and chemical methods, depends upon the structure of atom. And there are 3 main steps involved in the metallurgy. First one, concentration or separation. So what is called concentration? Concentration means removing the impurities to obtain the more metallic proportion. So removal of impurities to get more metallic proportion. That is called concentration. Then second step, protection of the metal. It is converting the purified ore into metal. Then third step, refining. Refining means to get 100% of pure metal, this type of refining process are done. Then there are some terminologies, some terms like definitions are given. So you got to learn and understand. First one, minerals. A mineral may be a single compound or a complex mixture of various compounds of metal found in the earth. Mineral is nothing but the substance which obtained from the earth crust, which contain metallic proportion. That is called mineral. The next, ore. Mineral from which a metal can be readily and economically extracted on large scale is said to be an ore. The mineral from which a metal can be readily and economically extracted on large scale is said to be an ore. So there is a conceptual thought. All ores are minerals, but all minerals are not ores. Why? Because all the minerals are obtained from earth crust, from the earth. From the earth only we are getting the mineral. But ores are selected from the mineral. The ores are selected from the mineral. That means which mineral can give high proportion of metal readily, economically on large scale. So which mineral contain large proportion of metal and which mineral can be used economically to obtain the metal, those mineral only called as ore. For example, clay and bauxite. Clay and bauxite both are minerals of aluminium. Clay also mineral, bauxite also mineral. Clay contain more impurities and it is not economical to get more proportion of metal from clay compared to bauxite. So bauxite contain more proportion of metal and it is economical and readily on large scale we can obtain aluminium from bauxite. So bauxite is considered as ore and clay is considered as mineral. The next one, mining. Mining is nothing but this is the process of extracting ore from the earth crust. There are different methods are there, steps are there to obtain the mineral from the earth crust. That process is called mining. Then gangue or matrix. This is nothing but the covered impurities around the metallic proportion is called gangue. So always rocky impurities like earthing particles, rocky matter, sand, limestone, these are all going to cover the metallic proportion. These metallic proportions, impurities, these impurities are called gangue or matrix. Then flux. It is the chemical substance added to the ore to reduce the fusion temperature. For example, calcium oxide, silica, these are used as substances to reduce the fusion temperature. Then slag, it is the fusible product formed when flux react with gangue. So, fusible product formed when flux react with gangue. Flux is added to reduce the fusion temperature. Gangue is nothing but rocky impurity. So when these two are going to be react, the impure form of slag is obtained. That slag is removed. It is the fusible product. Then smelting. It is the process of reducing roasted metallic oxide from metal. The smelting is nothing but converting metallic oxide to metal. Converting metallic oxide to metal. The next types of separation or concentration of ore. There are four major types of separation of ore based on the nature of ore. The different kinds of ores of metals are given in the tabular column 8.1, that is oxide ore, bauxite, cuprite, hematite. Then carbonate ore, marble, magnesite, siderite. Halide ore, cryolite, feldspar, rock salt. Sulfide ore, galena, iron pyrite, zinc blende. These are the different kinds of ores of metals. And how to concentrate the ore? Some methods are given. First method, hydraulic method or gravity separation method. Hydraulic method or gravity separation method. And here principle is given. The difference in the density or specific gravities of the ore and the gangue is the main principle. So this you have to underline. The difference in the density between ore and gangue, or the difference in the specific gravity of the ore and the gangue. This is the main principle used in this method. And for example, hematite ore can be purified, can be concentrated using this hydraulic gravity separation. And what is the method? The ore is poured over a sloping, vibrating, corrugated table. The grooves and jet of water is allowed to flow over it. The denser ore particles settle down in the grooves and lighter gangue particles are washed down by water. So in this, the powdered ore is allowed to pass through a jet of water, and along the table contain grooves and cuts. Grooves and cuts are there. So what happens? See, the denser particle, the heavier metallic particles are settled down in the grooves, and lighter impurities, lighter gangue particles are washed down by the water. So in this method, denser particles are settled down in the grooves, lighter particles are washed down by the water. So this is mainly used for the type of oxide ore, bauxite, cuprite, hematite. These ores can be concentrated using this hydraulic method or gravity separation method. Then next method, magnetic separation method. So what is the principle? The magnetic properties of the ores form the basis of the separation. The magnetic property means the magnetic elements are going to be attracted by the magnet, the force of attraction. So when either the ore or the gangue is magnetic, this method is employed. So ore is always contaminated by gangue. Suppose the gangue is magnetic or ore is magnetic, any one is magnetic means this method can be used. For example, tin stone, SnO2. This is the ore of tin. The ore of tin can be concentrated using this magnetic separation method. So you can see here two rollers are given. These two rollers are attached with a conveyor belt. And out of these two rollers, one is magnetic roller, another one is a non-magnetic roller. So when finely ground ore is allowed to pass through this conveyor belt, the magnetic particles are going to be attracted by the magnetic roller and formed as a heap in one part, and the non-magnetic particles are going to be moved away from the magnetic particles. So using this method, we can separate the magnetic particles from the non-magnetic substances. And next one, froth flotation. The froth flotation, the principle is this process depends on the preferential wettability of the ore with oil and the gangue particles by water. This is the principle. So froth means nothing but froth means a foam. When soap added with water, foam is formed. Like that is called a froth. So the process depends on the preferential wettability of the ore. So ore going to attach with the oil, gangue particles washed by water. And this method is mainly for the ores like sulfide ore, galena, iron pyrite, zinc blende. These ores can be purified using this froth flotation process. So ores are going to be lighter compared to the impurities. So lighter ores such as sulfide ore, zinc blende can be concentrated using this method. So you can see in the picture, see this is a froth flotation tank. The froth flotation tank, it is given, the mixture is taken. What is the mixture constitute? That is pine oil and water plus powdered ore. Pine oil, water plus powdered ore. These three are taken in this tank, and this mixture is going to be agitated by using compressed air. Compressed air is allowed through the given hole. What happens is the compressed hole going to agitate, vibrate the mixture, and the lighter ore particles such as sulfide ores going to mix with wet by oil, wet by pine oil, and form like a froth bubbles carrying sulfide ore particles on the surface of the froth flotation tank. So this is used to concentrate lighter ore such as sulfide ore. So sulfide ores are going to be wetted by the pine oil and form like a froth on the surface of the froth flotation tank. The heavier impurities are settled down at the bottom of the froth flotation tank. So the lighter ore particles are removed and washed for the further purification, and impurities, gangues, are going to be removed. So the crushed ore is taken in large tank containing oil and water and agitated with a current of compressed air. The ore is wetted by the oil and gets separated from gangue in the form of froth. Since the ore is lighter, it comes on the surface with the froth and impurities are left behind. Example, zinc blende. Here see the pine oil. Pine oil is nothing but the pine. It is a type of tree, that is a evergreen coniferous tree with the clusters of long needle shaped leaves. So from that tree that pine oil is obtained. That pine oil is used in this process of froth flotation. The next one, chemical method or leaching. This method is mainly used when the ore is more or less obtained in pure form, not contaminated by more impurities. For example, the ore like bauxite ore Al2O3 with 2 moles of water. This ore is treated with a suitable reagent like sodium hydroxide, and this is going to soluble in it. The impurities will not soluble in the taken reagent. So the impurities are removed by filtration. The solution of the ore, that is the filtrate, is treated with a suitable reagent which precipitate the ore. Example, bauxite. So in the concentration of bauxite, we are taking sodium hydroxide. The sodium hydroxide going to precipitate that bauxite ore into aluminum hydroxide. So this aluminum hydroxide is going to be precipitated. And it is taken for further concentration. Then in the Morse note it is given, extraction of metal from metal oxide can be categorized into 3 types, depend upon the reactivity order. So more reactive metal like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, these metals can be converted into oxide to metal using electrolytic reduction method. So highly reactive metals can be converted into metal using electrolytic reduction. And medium or moderate reactive metals like zinc, iron, lead, copper, these metals can be converted into metal using chemical reduction method. And very less reactive metals like silver and gold, platinum, mercury, these metals can be converted into metal using thermal decomposition method. The next one, occurrence of ores in Tamil Nadu. So this is simple thing, limestone in the form of calcium carbonate CaCO3, which is obtained in the places of Coimbatore, Kadalur and Dindigul. And next see gypsum that is used also as a fertilizer obtained Trichy, Coimbatore districts, and this is also used in the form of plaster of Paris, settling the broken bones, building industries. Then titanium mineral obtained in the places of Kanyakumari, Tirunelveli and Tuticorin in the form of titanium tetrachloride. Then chromite obtained in the places of Coimbatore and Salem district. Then magnetite, Dharmaburi, Erode, Salem, Tiruvannamalai. Then tungsten, the symbol of tungsten W obtained the places of Madurai and Dindigul. The tungsten is used in the form of filament in the incandescent lamp. Then next see the properties of metal. Already learned in 9th standard. Physical state, all metals are solids. More or less all the metals are solids. Solids means nothing but they are going to be very rigid and strong enough because of the close bonding of atoms. The force of attraction between the atom is very strong. So these metals are going to be very strong and solid at room temperature, except mercury and gallium. Then luster, that is nothing but the property of shining. The metals possess the property of shining, high luster, called a metallic luster. For example, aluminum is going to be a silvery white in color, copper reddish brown metal, gold, iron grayish white. They are going to be having the property of shining. Then hardness, most of the metals are hard and strong because of the close bonding of atoms, except sodium, potassium. Then melting and boiling points also high. All this because of this the close bonding of atoms between one another. Then except gallium, mercury, sodium, potassium. Then density, their density also high density compared to non-metal, except sodium, potassium. They are less denser than water. Ductility, that is the property of converting metal into thin wire without breaking. So metal only possesses the property that can be drawn into thin wire. Then malleability, metals are usually malleable. Malleable means that metals can be converted or beaten into sheets without breaking or cracking, except zinc and mercury. Then conduction of heat and electricity. Metals are very good conductors of heat and electricity. That's why we use aluminum, copper in the form of electric cables and electrical devices, except tungsten. Tungsten going to get the electrical energy and convert it to heat energy. Then solubility. Usually metal do not dissolve in liquid solvent. These are the some of the physical properties of the metals. Then chemical properties, valence electrons. Atoms of metal usually have 1, 2 or 3 electrons in the outermost shell. If you take in the periodic table, take sodium, that is atomic number of sodium 11, and configuration is 281. So outermost shell, contain one electron. We take the next element, magnesium. Atomic number 12. What is the electronic configuration? 2, 8, 2. So the outermost shell contain 2 electron. Then when you go to the next element, that is aluminium, that is atomic number 13. Configuration 2, 8, 3. 3 electron in the outermost shell. So more or less atoms of metal usually have 1, 2 or 3 electron in their outermost shell. Then the next one, say formation of ions. Metal form positive ion by the loss of electrons and they are electropositive. So sodium or potassium or aluminium lose 1, 2 or 3 electrons in the outermost shell and turn to cations. So they are all electropositive in nature. And discharge of ions. Metals are discharged at cathode. During the electrolysis process, the metals are discharged at cathode during the electrolysis of their compounds. Then atomicity. Atomicity is nothing but that is the number of atoms present in a molecule of an element. So more or less the metals are going to be monoatomic in nature. Next one, nature of oxides. Oxides of metals are usually basic in nature. Sodium oxide, aluminum oxide, magnesium oxide. These oxides are basic in nature. They behave like bases. Bases normally turn red litmus to blue, and they will give pink color in phenolphthalein and yellow color in methyl orange when you compare to the acids. So acids turn blue litmus to red, and there will be no color in phenolphthalein and pink color in methyl iron. So these are the some of the chemical properties of the metals. And next topic, see, that is extractive metallurgy of aluminium. Extractive metallurgy of aluminium. So in this lesson we are going to study about three metals like aluminium, copper and iron, the metallurgy and their occurrence and important ores and physical properties, chemical properties and the uses. All this we are going to learn in the next session. So till that you have to go through all the portions what under all completed and get the knowledge of periodic classification. Take a note down in your notebook and prepare well. Don't waste your time. Thank you. God bless you.